What is going on, guys? It's finally cold enough in Florida for me to actually wear a jacket and a beanie. It's like 45 degrees outside. Insanely cold for Florida. So in today's video, I am going to go through 25 different items in 25 different categories that are really good to sell online. All of these items are items that we have sold on eBay this year. So in 2018, these are items that we've actually sold on our account on eBay. So hopefully this guide really helps a lot of you out. Maybe you'll learn something about an item that you weren't aware of. I really hope it helps you guys out, and if it does, please be sure to hit the thumbs up button, and obviously if you're not subscribed to our channel, make sure you subscribe. Also, our next round of mentoring is coming up on January 1st, 2019 is when we start that out, and we take on 75 people and pretty much teach you everything you need to know about how to run a successful e-commerce business. We started reselling full-time about 4 years ago now, and we started with $200, and now we've turned that $200 into a six-figure a year net business. And we love to give back and teach people what we know. So if you're interested in joining the mentoring group, I'll put a link to that in the description of this video, and you can go and sign up for it if you would like to. All right, let's get started with the first item. So this is a category that we love to get items in. The category is printer ink or toner. Even if it's expired, you can still sell it on eBay. You can't sell it on Amazon, but on eBay you can still sell it. And a lot of the times we'll find like good printer ink sealed in the packages at garage sales, at thrift stores for cheap prices, and we're able to get really good money for it online. So like this example here is a HP ink cartridge, and we sold it for $43. I believe we picked it up at a garage sale for like $1. The next item and category I want to talk about is calculators, specifically Texas Instruments calculators. They sell almost immediately for us on eBay, and again, you can find them all over the place. So like this example right here sold for I think $99, and it sold same day. One of the cool things about getting calculators like this is that we don't mind paying more money for them because we know that they're going to sell so fast. So at a $100 sale, we'll pay up to 50, 60 bucks sometimes for these calculators because we're still making profit and they sell so quickly, so you're getting your investment back fast. The next category that we love is shoes. This is an example of a pair of Bally shoes that we bought for $1 and sold for $75, I believe. And shoes are great, guys, new or used. We sell a lot of shoes throughout the year. They're one of those categories that once you get your knowledge up in them, you can really find some good deals on shoes and make a lot of money with them. So I would say it's a great place for like new resellers to start is by learning the types of shoes that are out there and then start looking for them, and also learning the condition of shoes because they need to be in good condition to command high prices. But shoes is a great category to know. Here's another category that's really good that not a lot of people focus on. It's sporting goods. This is an example of a baseball mitt or baseball glove that we sold. We picked this one up at an estate sale for $1 and sold it for $35. Really good margins and pretty easy to ship as well. So we sell a lot of like baseball gloves, baseball bats, and other sporting equipment. Even stuff like snowboards and like skis and big sporting equipment is okay to sell as long as you're getting it for the right price and you're able to get top dollar for it because shipping is kind of expensive on that kind of stuff. But sporting goods, definitely get into those. Sunglasses. Sunglasses is another category that's been great for us. A couple things with sunglasses that you want to make sure of. Make sure the lenses aren't too scratched up. A lot of the times you can clean them off and get them back to like original condition, but just make sure they're in decent shape. And then more importantly, make sure that you're buying authentic sunglasses. And even if you take a gamble on buying a pair of sunglasses that you're not sure are authentic, you can go on YouTube or Google and look for examples of real ones and compare them to the ones that you have. Obviously, if something is off, if they're not authentic, then don't sell them. Don't try to sell them on eBay because you will get in trouble for doing that. But if they are authentic, you can get some really decent money for sunglasses. And the other cool thing about sunglasses is that most of the time they're cheap to ship. So you can ship them first class, couple bucks to $5 to ship them out. Another category that's cheap to ship the items and they sell very fast is vintage video games. So stuff like N64, like this one for example is a Super Mario 64 cartridge. Just the cartridge we got for $1 and it sold for $35. So a lot of the times you don't even need like the books and the cases and everything that goes with it. You just want to make sure that if you can test the games, test them out and make sure that they are working. But older video games sell very, very well for us, especially, again, stuff like N64, Super Nintendo, even old PlayStation games. You can look them up fairly easily as well. On eBay, you just look for sold items of that exact same game and see how much they're selling for. Men's bathing suits or board shorts, swim trunks, they sell very well for us. Obviously, they sell better for us during the summer months. And with ones like this, like Tommy Hilfiger board shorts, you want to look for the big flags on them or like bright colors, crazy patterns. Those ones sell for more money. And the older ones, so the vintage ones, we get more money for as well. So like this pair we got for $2.50 at a thrift store, and they sold for 30 bucks fairly quickly for us. Condition is a big thing with these as well. Make sure that there's no like rips or tears or stains with them, and you should be good to go on this. So swimsuits are a great item to sell on eBay. Here's another category that's really good for us to sell on eBay. It's security systems or security cameras. Every time we buy stuff like this, it sells very quickly for us on eBay. So, and again, it's another category that we don't mind paying up for. Like on this one right here, we paid $100 for this item and it sold for us for $237, I believe, next day. So again, if you're spending a lot of money for items, you want to make sure that it's selling very quickly as well. You don't want to pay $100 and then have to wait like 6 months to get your $200 sale. You want to pay that $100 and get your money back fast so you can put it into more products. But yes, surveillance systems, very good category to sell on eBay. Collectibles. Collectibles is a bit of a tricky category just because there's so many different things out there. We like to focus on the big brands. So like Disney is a good one for us to look out for, mostly because it's easy to value Disney items. It's a very collected category and you can look up sold comps and find out what the items are worth fairly easy. And we find stuff like this, like the snow globe, we find stuff like this at thrift stores and garage sales and auctions as well all the time. Like this one we paid $3 for and we sold it for $35. So knowing like the value of the items that are collectible out there is pretty important. And a lot of the time, like, people really enjoy finding stuff like this. So if you like Disney and you can focus on like getting your Disney knowledge together, and you know, you can become the expert in what is worth money when it comes to Disney collectibles. It's a good category to know. We don't know that much about collectible items, but every so often we come across something where we can look it up and buy it cheap enough and get some good money for it. So collectibles is a good category to know. Here's a category that's been great for us on eBay and on Amazon. We actually usually get more money for these types of items on Amazon, but they sell well on eBay too. The category is VCRs or VCR DVD recorders. Those are the ones that are usually worth more money. But a lot of the times people don't realize the value of VCRs, and you can get them for like $5 or $10 and sell them for a lot of money. So like this one we bought at a garage sale for $10 and we sold it for almost $150, which is crazy. But again, people don't really know that VCRs are worth money right now. So if you can find them, if you can get a good source for finding VCRs, it can turn into really decent profit for you. Sticking to used electronics that we can find a lot of garage sales and thrift stores, car radios, especially stock car radios, is a great category to get into. Usually we find them for like $5 or $10, and we get anywhere between like $50 to $150, $200 sometimes, depending on the brand. Luxury brands of the stock radios sell better for us, and we get more money. So like BMW, Mercedes, Audi, those are great brands if you can find those radios. But even like the Fords and the Mazda and the Honda, you'll still get like $50-$60 for them. A lot of people ask us if we test the car radios that we buy, and the answer is no. We don't really have a way to test them out, but we sell them with a money back guarantee. And I would say maybe like 1 out of 20 will end up coming back to us, and then we just refund the buyer and say sorry. But we don't test them, we sell them as is, and most of the time they're working. Usually when people replace their stock car radio, they're replacing it not because it's not working, they just want like a better, more souped up, aftermarket radio. So the stock ones are usually still working, and we found that they sell for great money on eBay. The next good category is vintage band t-shirts, especially tour t-shirts that are from like, I would say, the 80s and 90s. We get a lot of money for those like older tour band t-shirts. T-shirts like this we usually find at thrift stores, because a lot of the times people will go to the concerts, buy these t-shirts, wear them a few times, and then they just don't want them anymore, so they donate them to like a Goodwill or a Salvation Army, and then that's where we find them. So a lot of the times we're getting these shirts for like $2-3, sometimes even $1 on a good day, and we get like $40 plus for these things. We've sold vintage band t-shirts for, I want to say we've got like $100-150 for some of these ones, like Grateful Dead, Led Zeppelin, even like old rap t-shirts. If you can find like an old Tupac shirt, those go for a ton of money. Some of those are worth like $200-300. Even if they're not in the best condition, still look them up, see what they're worth, and yeah, there's a lot of money in like vintage music t-shirts. The next category is bags. We sell a lot of bags, not just like purses and handbags, but also, you know, like computer bags, duffel bags. There's a lot of really good higher end brands out there when it comes to bags. So like this bag, for example, we paid $10 for it at a garage sale. It's just a laptop case, and we sold it for almost $100. They're great items, they sell fast, and usually they're pretty available, again, at garage sales and thrift stores. Hard goods. So we don't sell a whole ton of hard goods, but we probably should get into it more because we get decent money for it. A lot of people are scared to get into hard goods because they're worried about the items breaking during shipping, but as long as you're very careful about the way that you package them, you shouldn't really be getting a lot of items breaking during the shipment process. But hard goods are great. A lot of the times they have a very reasonable price tag on them, like $1 or $2. And sometimes you can get upwards of, you know, 50, 60, sometimes more dollars for them on eBay, especially if you can find stuff that isn't really made anymore. Like this is a Stein that was made in West Germany. We picked it up at a thrift store. Obviously they don't make stuff like this anymore because West Germany isn't called West Germany anymore. So we picked it up at a, no, this was at a garage sale. We picked it up at a garage sale for, I believe it was $2, and we ended up getting $45 for it. So it's a good category to get into. Again, don't be afraid to ship the items out. Pack them well. Make sure that they're padded in there. Sometimes it's good to put them in a box and then put that box in another box so that it's really protected. And you should be fine, guys. Jump into hard goods if you haven't yet, because there's a lot of good money in them. Now, newer men's clothing sells well if you're picking up the good brands, like the Untuckit dress shirts, for example, or like men's Lululemon stuff sells really well. New Polo Ralph Lauren stuff is selling great for us. But I would say brands like Untuckit, probably one of our favorite brands to find right now. We find it at thrift stores a lot, again, for that like $2 to $5 price range. And most of the time, especially with like the long sleeve button down dress shirts, we're getting between $35 to $50 depending on the size and the style of the shirt. So do your research on what new brands are out there. Look for the more expensive brands, and then when you see them at thrift stores or garage sales or whatever, make sure to pick them up. All right, watches is the next category. I love selling watches. I'm a bit obsessed with watches. I have a decent sized watch collection. But I like selling them just because they intrigue me. Now, the thing about selling watches on eBay especially is we look for well-branded or well-known brands when we look for watches. Stuff like Nixon, for example. Like this watch sold for $274 and it sold very fast. It was new with tags, which was great, but they sell very quickly if you can find the right brands. When it comes to vintage watches, you want to look out for those like old school Casios and old school Timex watches, especially like I've seen those old ones with the calculator on them, like the old calculator watches. Some of those things go for like $150, $200. So if you see them at garage sales or whatever, make sure that you pick them up. Be careful sinking too much money into watches. Don't go and spend like, $5,000 on a Rolex and try to sell it for $6,000 unless you're ready to get into stuff like that, because it's a lot of money to put into one item in particular. I find it's better to stay with the non-luxury watches that we can get for, $5, $10, $15 and then sell for $100 plus. Another interesting category is plushies, or those plush toys. Funny enough, a lot of people collect them or buy them as gifts for their kids or whatever they're doing with them. But like, again, categories like Disney, or look for the hot plush that's out right now and try to find them at, you know, garage sales, I would say, are the best place to find plushes. It's about the only like new kids toys that we like to buy, just because they're soft, they're easy to ship, so you don't have to worry about anything breaking, and most of the time we can just like throw them in a poly bag and ship them first class. And then the other thing is, especially at garage sales, people aren't selling their plush toys for $500. They're usually asking like 50 cents for their plush toys. So the margins are great. If you can pay 50 cents for something, even if you're only selling it for like 25, 30 bucks, that's a great margin. So plush toys, yeah. The next category I want to talk about is hats, snapbacks, strapbacks, beanies. Hats are awesome to sell online, especially on eBay, but they've been moving well on the apps as well, like Grailed or what is some of the other apps? Grailed or Depop or Poshmark, or there's a lot of apps out there that you can sell hats on. We still list them on eBay and we get decent money for them on eBay. But when it comes to hats, you want to look out for the older ones. One good tip is to look out for 100% wool hats. We found that 100% wool hats sell for a lot of money, especially the sports ones, because usually that means that they're vintage if they're 100% wool. And some of those hats can go for like, oh my gosh, they can go for so much money, $50, $60, $100. There's even really collectible categories within hats, like vintage John Deere, for example. There's vintage John Deere hats worth literally hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So if you see like an old school looking John Deere hat, pick it up 100% of the time. I'm not sure exactly why, but that's just a category that's like people will go out of their way to find the old John Deere hats. I've seen prices on them for like $1,000. So if you see something like that, make sure you pick it up. But hats are great. They're not hard to ship. Make sure that you pad them well, put them in a box, and you can still usually ship them first class. So hats are great. Now, when it comes to like the big name vintage clothing items like Tommy Hilfiger, Polo Ralph Lauren, you want to make sure you're buying the right items. You don't want to just buy every Tommy piece or every Polo piece that you come across. One thing that we found that works well is to look for big spell out graphics, so big ones that say Polo on them or Tommy Hilfiger on them, or look for color block, bright colors, crazy patterns. Usually what we found is like the more obnoxious, the better. The faster it sells, the more money it commands. So on stuff like Tommy Hilfiger dress shirts, we won't pick them up unless there's something special about them. So like this one, for example, crazy colors, nice stripage on it. I think we paid like $2 or $3 for this at a thrift store, and it sold for $28. So not huge money, but that's why I say like we pass on probably 90% of the Tommy Hilfiger stuff that we find at thrift stores or garage sales. We only buy the crazy colors or the big spell outs, the stuff that is actually unique. They didn't make a lot of them and very desirable online. So make sure you're looking for that kind of stuff. Next category is vintage toys. This is a category that I love. I love finding like the old Street Sharks or the old like 80s G.I. Joes, or like in this case, old 90s Power Rangers. These things we found super cheap at a garage sale. Got a whole bunch of them in a bin. I think we paid like $5 or $6 for them. I don't remember, but we sold this lot of Power Rangers for $38. The cool thing about these types of toys, like the 80s and 90s toys, is that you have a lot of people like me, for example, that played with these toys as kids, and now we're adults. We finally have money, and we're looking to buy our childhood back. So there's a great market for it. There's a lot of people that are looking for these type of toys, and if you can find them for the right price, you can get a lot of money for them. The next category would be mid-century modern. We try to stick to like the smaller type of mid-century modern items, like this set of penguins, a barware set of penguins we picked up at a garage sale for $5 and sold it for $67. But we also know a lot of sellers out there selling mid-century furniture. A lot of mid-century furniture sells for a ton of money. We've actually found like high-end mid-century modern furniture at garage sales for like $10, $15. We found this really cool coffee table once for, I think we paid like $7 for it at a garage sale. And we actually took that piece of furniture and we sold it locally at an auction. Now with that, obviously you have auction fees. I think we paid like 30% for them to sell the item for us. But we only paid $7 for it at a garage sale, and I think we ended up getting like $300 or $400 for it. So even the furniture is really good as long as it's real. It's got to be like authentic mid-century furniture. And a lot of the times you can find like the maker's mark or the maker's name on it. And that's an easy way to tell that it is an actual piece from that time. But mid-century stuff is highly collectible, and I think it's one of those categories that will always be around. You know, it's not going anywhere. People have always liked mid-century stuff, and I think that they always will. So, great category. Vintage electronics, so like voice recorders, Walkmans, or like CD players, old CD players, they sell very well. Even like older, like the first or second edition iPods, we get decent money for those things. And we find them usually at garage sales for like a couple bucks. So people collect them for some reason. They like them. So if you can find them for a couple bucks at a garage sale and sell them for 40, 50 bucks, why not? You know, usually they're small too, which makes them easy to ship first class mail. So vintage electronics, look them up. Most of them have model numbers on them. You can look them up very easily and look at the sold comps and decide if you want to buy them or not. The next category that we do well with is tea kettles or like kitchen stuff. This is an interesting category. It has to be the right brand. But if you see like different colored, nice quality, you can usually tell if you like pick a tea kettle up. If it's heavy and like the metal is good and the enamel around it is in good condition, usually that's an item that is worth some money. So tea kettles like this, brand new, they go for like $120. And if we can find them used and sell them for 45, 50 bucks, that's a good deal for us, because most of the time, again, we're paying like $5-10 usually. Tea kettles especially are great because a lot of the times people will get them as gifts and not want them and just get rid of them, or they'll buy them for themselves, use them for a couple years, and then get a new one, upgrade to a new one, and get rid of their old one. And the old one still has value. So look out for that type of stuff. Kitchen stuff, knives are great. Again, just make sure you do your research. Now, this category is one that is extremely good. It's blank media. It must be new. You can't just get like blank VHS tapes and try to sell them when they're not sealed. But if you can find blank media, blank DVDs, blank CDs that are sealed in the packaging still, blank VHS tapes that are sealed in the packaging, they're worth money. People buy them all the time. We sell a ton of them on Amazon. They move great on eBay as well. Just look them up. But we find them all the time too. For some reason, like people will stock up on them. We find them at estate sales a lot because back in the day, that's what you used to use to record TV shows, right? I remember when I was a kid, my parents would put the VHS tape in the TV and then set it to record a show, like an old school TiVo. So yeah, definitely if you could find these blank VHS tapes, they're great. Pick them up. Any blank media, for that matter. So, yeah, there you go. Another great category to put your money into. And we're on number 25. The last category that I'm going to talk to you guys about is sports memorabilia. So, jerseys, hats, t-shirts, pants, helmets, goggles, whatever you can find in the sports memorabilia area is great. If you can find stuff that is worth money, we like to buy the jerseys. So people collect football jerseys, hockey jerseys, basketball jerseys. If you can find them, now especially the vintage ones. So vintage starter, vintage champion. If you can find the old school versions of these jerseys, they can get really high up there in price. Make sure they're authentic. Again, there's lots of great YouTube videos and Google tutorials out there where you can see like what does make a jersey authentic. But sports memorabilia, awesome category to get into. Great margins, and there's a lot of it out there too, believe it or not. And there you go, everyone. There's 25 different items in 25 different categories that are great to resell online. I know we just talked about mostly eBay in this video, but a lot of these items translate to Amazon and Poshmark and Mercari and blah 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 blah. But yeah, there's a lot of different good categories out there. Hopefully this video has helped you guys out. Feel free to save the video to your favorites and watch it later. Feel free to share it with anybody who you feel could use this type of information. And again, guys, if you did like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. We put lots of really good videos like this out for you guys, and we really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. Hopefully, again, it helped you guys out, and that's going to be it for me, guys. Again, make sure if you are interested in our mentoring program, link in the description of this video. Leave a comment on the video if you would like to. I'm Ryan Roots. We'll see you on the next one, guys. Peace out.